Welcome to day 2. And your second lesson in your free guided tour of chapter 1. Today we're going to look at how things used to be, because we need to understand how things have changed, in order to be able to fully take advantage of the way things are today. Once upon a time there was no such thing as the internet. There was no Facebook, no email, no websites, no online banking, and no instant messaging service. Back then, the emphasis was on advertising, and promoting your product to sell as many units as possible. Placing adverts in newspapers, magazines and trade journals was very expensive for a small startup business. Particularly when competing with much larger companies who could afford to pay a premium to place their adverts in the prime locations. This meant small business ads were often relegated to the lesser read pages deeper in the publication. The larger companies could also afford to complement their print ads with TV and radio advertising, which was way beyond the marketing budget of small business owners. The reality was, the greatest share of voice was always awarded to those who had the biggest budgets, not necessarily the best products. Small business owners were constantly drowned out by larger companies, who simply threw more money at their marketing campaigns than their smaller competitors could ever dream of. The power was truly in the hands of those with deep pockets. It was simply a case of the more money you had, the louder you could shout at your target audience, by buying more print adverts, billboard space, and TV and radio airtime. Back then, marketers' focus was on selling their products or services, not the customer. And for that they needed to interrupt their target audience, to tell them what they had to offer. This is referred to as a product, or sales, orientation, and can be traced back to the late 1800s. This one-way communication model is referred to as the old broadcast paradigm, as it relies on marketers bombarding their target audience with as many messages as they could get their hands on. These messages typically took the form of adverts, and advertising was big business. The problem is, it did not give the recipient of the message the opportunity to have a conversation with the seller. At least in marketing terms, and this is a big difference with how things are today. The old broadcast paradigm is represented by the model shown in Figure 1.2, on page 10, of Chapter 1. Basically, what happens is, the marketer, the sender, creates, encodes, a message, and then sends that message via some means, be it advertising in the press, direct mail, or through some other broadcast means such as TV, or radio. When it's received, the recipient, or receiver, has to interpret, that is, decode, the message, to discover its meaning, and this can be open to interpretation. If they interpret it correctly, as the sender intended, and if it resonates with them, that is, it's relevant, they may take the action, the response, suggested by the message sender, the marketer. That message has to be heard over and above all the other messages in the marketplace, the noise. It is therefore important that the receiver decodes the message as the sender intended, in order for the message to be understood and, hence, heard. In this example, the marketer is only able to measure the effectiveness of the message by the actual response received. This is typically measured by the number of sales, or replies, to the message, be it a direct marketing piece, or an advert in an advertising campaign. Therefore, to a large extent, the marketer is working blind, just going by gut feel, or being guided by experience. It's no wonder, marketing is sometimes referred to as a black art. That's a summary of the old broadcast paradigm. And whilst it applies mainly to before the advent of the Internet, it is still relevant in certain situations today. Such as, when starting a new business, and nobody knows you exist. In this case, you need to create initial awareness for your business. And the principles of the old broadcast paradigm can be very appropriate, as interrupting your target audience is one way to grab their attention, and let them know what you have to offer. That's it for today. And I hope you found that useful. In the next lesson, we'll look at some of the events that have led us to where we are today. If you have any questions or comments, then please do leave them in the comments box below. Please read Chapter 1 as you go through this mini course, as it will help you get the most out of it. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you in the next lesson.